Yo, last guy, 182. Oh my! What is up, YouTube? My name is Deluxe, and today we're going to be talking about everything I've learned about ALC settings. So if you don't know what ALC settings are, they're a secondary option to selecting how you want your aim to feel. So you got your standard, classic, linear, and you can scroll all the way to the bottom here and select advanced look controls. In here, there's tons of options, and it can be very overwhelming trying to understand how to set this up. I'll be going over all of that and then also talking about the perks of having GENBURTENS settings. Now, not every single pro runs his crazy settings, but there's some specific things that are within his settings that I think everybody should try to incorporate because it does allow you to play on another level with that controller. So let's get right into it. All right, on screen here, you're gonna see my ALC settings currently. I'll make sure you have them set to on. Also, I didn't say that before, but 2% dead zone, 2% outer threshold, 0 response curve, pitch, yaw, blah, blah, blah. You guys don't even need to know that, honestly. But so let me explain response curve right off the bat. Now, response curve is basically, it's the relationship between pushing your stick to the side and how much is going on your screen. So if you have a very large curve like this, you see the chart right here? Basically, the bottom is the distance, the top is how fast your stick is going. So the large curve, a large curve like this will mean that the middle of your stick, you'll be able to move it left and right very far, and it will not move on the screen a lot. So for example, I can go ahead and push my controller a very good amount, and look how slow it's going. Very, very slow, right? Now, the opposite is just the opposite. It's like a one-to-one relationship. Like, if you, come on, you guys know math class, X slow. Pay attention in algebra, you'll understand what's going on here. Go ahead and see that? I barely press it, and look how fast I'm going. So, what this means for Apex. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I say 10 is the maximum you want to go. 10 is basically classic. And in my opinion, it feels like crap. Like, it does not allow you to fully take advantage of recoil control and other important skills within the game. That's just my opinion. Yaw speed is left or right. Pitch speed is up and down. Extra, yaw, and pitch, they are basically when you hit the maximum. So when you pull the stick all the way to the maximum speed, you can have extra speed that you add onto this. Basically, you know, you're turning like this. It doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. But then as soon as you pull the stick all the way to the outside like that, it'll add extra speed onto it. I don't like this setting. Oh, another cool thing about this setting, here, let me turn it on really quick for you guys so you understand what's going on, is when you're aiming at an enemy, it won't activate. So you see this, how I'm spinning? I'm spinning extra, and then as soon as it sees an enemy, it slows down. I don't use this setting. I know Ghost Panders uses it. There's a lot of people who do like it. But I just feel like I need consistency all the time, and even autoing messes me up sometimes if it's too sticky. I'm not gonna lie to you. So that's just me. Go ahead and mess with that if you want things like when you're moving around to be able to turn fast or stuff like that, or loot faster, or if you play a low sensitivity. There's all different types of ways you can use this. Not a bad setting. Don't like it. The ramp up time is basically an added layer to what we just talked about. Time is how long it takes for it to reach the maximum speed from 280 to whatever you set it. And then the delay is how long if I turn to maximum, how long it'll wait before it starts ramping up. That's basically your breakdown on all your ALC settings. That is basically it. You know, you just got the second version of this on ADS, but it's the exact same thing. Now, another thing we can really talk about really quick is you can mess with the extra yaw activation point by messing with the outer threshold. The farther you put the outer threshold, you see how this chart goes to maximum earlier. See how it starts to get early? So that means when you move the stick to the right, the curve is sharper and it hits maximum. So you hit maximum maybe halfway, pushing your stick halfway instead of all the way to the right. You know what I'm saying? I don't use that, but you could get creative with that if you're using low sensitivities or something like that. Now that I gave you that basic rundown, let's talk about what you should be running, in my opinion. You should be copying these ADS settings and the response curve 100%. I think that this speed on the ADS yaw and pitch along with this response curve and a very low dead zone, allows you to have the best recoil control. Like, it's not even close. People on classic look ridiculous compared to people on linear. It's just facts. I understand linear is very difficult for a lot of people, and you honestly might want to go ahead and adjust your response curve up to maybe 4 or 5 just to get used to it, which still works. But if you do that, make sure you go ahead and mess with your ADS, yaw, and pitch and make it a little bit higher. Maybe 140, go 150 to maintain the sensitivity of your stick when shooting during ADSing. The key to GENBURTENS sensitivities is the fact that he doesn't have to move that much, so it allows him to move faster. Let's say these aren't the right measurements, but instead of going an inch to the left, and then when it bounces, having to switch inch to the right, he only has to do 1/4 of an inch back and forth. You know, shorter distance, faster recoil control, faster thumb movement, better recoil control. It's really that simple. And his sensitivities allow you to acquire that muscle memory pretty well. I tried learning this at Classic, and granted, I am on PC, so I have 0.4 auto aim, and a lot of you guys have 0.6. Which is it's a total different world. Like, think about it. You almost are getting 50% more aim assist. No, that is 50% more aim assist, actually. It's just ridiculous. Like, but it's very difficult. Like, I'm not even warmed up right now. These are my first shots of the day. It is cold in my room, and if anybody knows, it's really hard to play controller, and I'm just not... Like, my shot, I'm shooting straight. I'm basically shooting straight. I used to play, like, on 4. Now, okay, that I think is something you should strive for and get to. The only problem with these settings is hip fire is extremely difficult, which if you're playing controller on console, you have that 0.6 aim assist, so you might not even be too stressed out by this, and you should be able to hip fire pretty well. But if you're like me on PC, man, if you don't practice this and get the muscle memory down, your hip fire is gonna be cheeks, like absolute booty cheeks. You're struggling to hit shots with hip fire, I would argue that that is your main benefit on controller, and you really shouldn't be running this setting in that case. The 2 ways to fix that are by increasing your response curve and lowering your sensitivities on hip fire. Fun fact, just so we probably should have said this at the beginning of the video, but these are GENBURTENS settings. He runs 500, 500, 130, 130, 0 response curve, right? So this is his... Like, this is insane, man. I don't know how he hits anything with this. This is literally why I can't run this setting. This is why I run 280, 280, because it's just like... It's just insane. It's just insane. So we were talking about the 2 ways to combat. Another thing that isn't really talked about that I think is key is having the same sensitivity at yaw and pitch. Now, normally your left and right, your left and right is a little bit faster than your up and down. You'll immediately notice that if you go on the same X and Y speed, that it'll feel wonky. It'll feel like your up and down movement is just out of control. It's because you're just not used to it. But having that setting on makes recoil control so much easier. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's in your brain because of the fact that it's like the same sensitivity up and down. I don't know if it's the distance thing that I was talking about earlier. I don't know what's going on, but I found that as soon as I switched that, learning the patterns, controlling recoil naturally, it's just all just started coming to me very fast. Now that we went ahead and did the settings, here's where I'm going to talk about practice. Because the truth is, there are settings for sure that will help you. But in the end, it's just how much hours you put in and how much quality time you put in. And quality is the big one, because a lot of people don't get the quality time. You want to maximize your growth in the time you have throughout the day, each day. So if you're on PC, I highly recommend you getting the Apex Aim Trainer. This app is fantastic. It's $5 on Steam. My favorite exercise is keeping the bots very close to you, random strafe plus crouch, and then making them sprint speed. Just PK R3. You start a practice, and you can literally input your ALC settings right here, which I haven't updated yet because I honestly recently made this discovery about everything being at equal sensitivities. But nonetheless, you run this a couple times every single day. Just try to keep your thumb on it, which here, let's talk about this. This is for console players and PC players, which you gotta understand, man. You need to be forming this connection in your mind with your thumbstick. It's focus on connecting your eyes with your thumb. Literally try to be placing that thumbstick exactly where you want it to go. And it's gonna be hard. You're gonna have periods where you can do it and then you'll burn out, and you're just gonna eventually over time form this connection. And just like lifting like any other muscle, man. You hit it a little bit, it gets tired, you rest, next day it gets stronger, and you go again and you go again and you go again and you go again. You need to form that connection. That's basically the main point that I want to get to, and I'm just showing you drills. So this is great. You get the repetitions in here to form that connection. For anybody else, for console players, stuff like that, you can go ahead and I would recommend doing two things: walking around the range and pre-aiming corners whenever you can, and trying to control the thumbstick perfectly on the corner every single time. And you can do that all over the place, all over the map when you're playing the game. It sounds ridiculous, but sometimes I just sit there and just kind of try to place it on the right spot, and you're just trying to form that same connection, make it a drill. This is like, that is quality. If you're just walking around all the time, just kind of like not even caring, that's time going by where you're not flexing this muscle. You want to be flexing the muscle, right? Recoil control, pretty obvious. Just get in here. That goes for both platforms. You just learn the pattern. I mean, if you really want to learn it, be sure to shoot straight like this and then watch how it goes. So it goes up, right, left, right. So you do the opposite, you know what I'm saying? And you have to be dropping into a lot of pub matches, hot dropping, and just getting reps, shooting people, fighting over and over again. Not only to develop, you know, your game sense, but your mechanics, man, where that connection in your mind. Make sure you're evolving that connection in your mind, and constantly, you know, one day you're gonna be able to like do it smooth, and then maybe you're tapping the stick. Like I tap the stick sometimes, you know, tap to the right, left. So maybe another thing I want to talk about really quick is make sure you keep the same grip every single day on your controller. This is huge, because what's the point of learning how to move your thumb if your thumb isn't in the same spot every single day? It just doesn't, it's just horrible. It's not a good plan. So make sure you grip the controller in a good way. Use the tip of your thumb, use whatever feels comfortable, whatever you like. Just keep it the same. You can mess with the grips. Like you're gonna have, you know, just like mouse and keyboard grip, you know, you can go ahead and change the grip on your mouse to claw and everything throughout your evolution as a player, but make sure that you are thinking about it, and make sure that you're somewhat being consistent about it, and maybe changing it up and then being consistent for another week or whatever, man. It's just, if you're not thinking about it, you're just impeding your progress. So just in summary, our two biggest things that you need to take away from this when you're setting up your ALC settings is try to get that response curve as low as possible and keep your yaw and pitch speed even. Everything else is up to you. You can go ahead and add extra yaw, extra pitch. I'd keep it even, but I mean, I don't know, man. I don't really mess with it that much. I don't like that setting. That's just me. Because, I mean, hey, you know that drill I was talking about? How you're practicing making that muscle memory, walking around and just pre-aiming stuff, and you're placing the crosshair in various spots around the map perfectly while you're playing, because you're trying to form that connection. Well, if you have extra pitch and extra yaw, then depending on, like in a fight, it's going to be completely different than when you're walking around. And that's like, what's the point? So you're just getting all this extra practice in for what? For no reason, man. I don't like it. I don't mess with it. I don't know. But Ghost Panders is really good, and he uses it. So don't fully listen to me. But it also just matters how much time you have, dude. I just think if you don't have a lot of time and you want to be good, then just make that time count that you are playing, and don't, you know, you're going to have to go get extra reps when you're facing people just for your mind to get used to the sensitivity and learn it. It's just not, it's not worth it. Just don't do it. If you don't have a lot of time, don't do it. That's my full take. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you, and be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Check out all my other socials if you like this and want more content. And I also stream on Twitch every single night. So come show some love. Peace.